So I did follow your advice, um, Duke Inman, and I reached out to Stephen of Bellatrix. He accepted my request, but never responded to any of my messages. So I don't know if he'll be here tonight or not. But
Well, with Stefan, you never know.
I debated posting something on the full SCA Facebook group. I didn't know if that would cause consternation. Um,
It's been so long ago, it's hard to say, but discretion might be the better part of valor.
and this is something I'm trying to learn, and uh, so yeah, I decided not to.
Okay, good call.
Yeah, I got to admit, some people think of it. Well, I'm not sure whether that was a nightmare or just a memory of dramatic implications.
Well, I don't think. I think within the populace, I think it would be no problem whatsoever. I think at the board level, I don't believe they want people to know that kingdoms can actually stand up and fight them and win.
Nobody
And
knew until you stood up with your few officers behind you, where Frederick and I went to the meeting. No, yeah, Frederick and I think went into the meeting with you. So yeah, we were there. I was
yes,
there. Like I
it
said,
was.
memories
It
are
was.
nightmares. I'm not sure for us, for just us.
Well, I only brought it up, uh, as a historical moment in the
Mm-hmm.
kingdom's history.
And it
But
was.
I think that it's something that this kingdom should take a tremendous amount of pride in, because it wasn't just me and Frederick and the officers that fought. Everybody did. Every single Onstioran fought that battle with us. And
I agree. We had what
So I'm
when we
gonna
put out the poll, it was like 91% agreed with what we were doing.
I'm gonna ask you to step back for a moment because
Yeah,
I wasn't there, and neither were two of our other audience members. Can you start from the beginning?
I will step back and let His Grace handle it.
Oh, I'm sorry. That wasn't saying stop talking. I don't want to hear from you. That was, can you create a little bit more
let
context? Because
let
I've heard you tell a
let's
little bit
yeah. Let
about
me.
it, but
I'll give
yeah,
you the abridged version. Okay. Well, because
we've got two
it's
hours. It doesn't have to be abridged.
yeah. I don't know if I can talk about it for 2 hours or not.
Fair enough.
Okay. Yeah. This is on a Sunday morning in January in 1994. Athena and I had just stepped up the Saturday before. I mean, this is the next day after a great coronation, and we had such a great fifth reign together. My fifth reign, her first, that we were looking forward to just having a good time for the next 6 months. When my phone rings about 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning, and lo and behold, it's Baron Corwin Arianrod, Christopher Scott, who enlightened me what the board of directors had done in closed session at the last board meeting, which was the same day of my coronation. And the drift of it was, and this is just part of the information that we had, the SC was going to be a completely membership only club. No membership, no play. So we, Athena and I sat there and went, well, our reign's just gone to hell, because I was pretty sure the Osteorans weren't going to go for it. Anyway, the next week, Athena went off to an event and with her entourage, and told everybody what was up and got their input. at that point in time, I was sending letters to all of our officers of every shire baron in Canton, telling them what was up, asking them to bring it up at their next meeting and tell us what they wanted us to do about it. Do they want to accept it? Do they want us to negotiate? What do they want us to do? They want us to fight. Well, uh, to a man, pretty much, they all said, "We hate this. Make it go away." And so I contacted our ombudsman and was very clear that I've polled the people of my kingdom, and they don't want anything to do with this nonsense. And that's where the hell broke loose. Um, it, it kind of like a domino effect. Just one kingdom after another, uh, weighed in on it. Um, it was a good thing that at the time I was personal friends with about 2/3 of the sitting crowns of the known world, and we talked about it long and seriously for quite a while until basically I didn't know whether to be honored or be frightened. Uh, they kind of made me the face of the revolution. So I basically put in writing what we talked about. I had talked about with the ombudsman on the phone, saying, "We don't really care what you want down here. We're not doing it." Oh, let me get a little bit more. A lot of people didn't understand where they were going with this. It wasn't just our events that they wanted us to uh, make sure they were paid members only. It was everything. It was our local meetings, Baronial Shire, Canton meetings, fighter practices, our guilds, all of it. And to beat that, they had created worksheets that were to be given out to all the local officers who were to keep track of everyone that came to the meeting, and then they were to be turned into the kingdom seneschal, who was supposed to turn them in to the society seneschal. So essentially, what they were telling us was they're going to decide who we can have in our homes, because that's where our meetings were, who we can hang out with at the local park, because that's who our where our fighter practices were, and who we can learn how to make glass beads together with, because that's what our guilds did. And they're going to tell us that we have to tell people, friends, uh, in some cases, maybe even apprentices and squires. Sorry, pal. No, we can't hang out with you because the people out there on the board said you didn't pay. So I don't know if you can imagine the ridiculousness of this whole entire approach. And
Kitty!
we're going to back down.
Yeah, I figured out how to.
In so, but to beat that, they were trying to change the SCA nonprofit to some kind of hoity-toity nonprofit corporation that was listed on the stock exchange. And they went out and hired a mundane CEO, a man had never been in garb in his life, to run the organization. Now, let that sink in a minute. Okay, you got
Something I'd like to
Go ahead.
I was going to say something I would like to add is, didn't they raise it the entrance fee 40% at the same time? Because that was part of the thing, is they jacked the price 40%.
Yeah, well, they cranked the membership up to I think it was something like $18. It went up to like 35.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was 40% is what we all calculated out.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was blackmail, literally, because they had decided that we had all spent so much time doing this game, playing this game. We'd invested so much money in costuming and armor and weapons and the tools of our crafts and campsites that we would pretty much just roll over for anything they wanted us to do, because they threatened the very thing that we were loving for money. And they had made contractual, there you go, obligations with this money that they were planning on getting. Oops. Well, from that money, and kind of fought on their own. And of course, we were in contact on the phone and so forth. And because back then we didn't have Facebook. I mean, the only thing we had was something called a Rialto.
I
Uh,
tried very hard to get connected to that, to look up some of the information that was stored on there about
uh,
this event. I've been told that those archives still exist, but the programs that access them are no longer sold.
yeah.
So
Great.
It
I
was,
I reached out to somebody on the Armor Archive who said that they had an inch thick stack of paper, printed pages having to do with this topic specifically, and I was like, "Oh God, please let me have it. Give me, please." Um,
yeah, if you can get it, that would be awesome.
I'm working
Yeah.
on it, but
Well, I know that our approach here was just to keep the people of Onsteora believing in themselves and believing that what we were doing was really meaningful. I think you've got a excerpt from a black letter or something that I wrote during that time. I think we're printed in all the newsletters. Uh,
You did. There was
but
one that you called in to me to do. Yes, you called in to me to your letter to the kingdom to
okay,
put it
good.
in.
That's what I thought.
and that
And
was in
Yeah.
so
1991.
I didn't.
I don't know how many years ago that was, or when it was.
That was 19. It was in 1994.
Gotcha.
Okay.
But anyway, um, the kingdoms fought individually, uh, and then even though I had no absolutely no plans on going to Estrella, uh, we all decided that, well, we're all going to go. I mean, I'm talking about every king and queen of the known world was at Estrella that year because this was a hot button issue. And so I got Mistress Estelle, who was a calligrapher here locally, to basically craft the uh, Estrella cord, which but just it was very said we're going to recognize each other as kingdoms no matter what our status. We've invested too much time, money, and love and friendship across the known world to let you take it away for the almighty dollar. And so when we showed up the night before the wars on a Friday night, everybody was there. We had a meeting in the barn, and I read it, asked them if they would sign on to this and back each other up. And all but two kingdoms signed. I mean, there were two kingdoms that were in sympathy and supported what we did, but they refused to put their signature to it, mostly because they were new kings and queens. They didn't have a clue what was going on.
So which two
They were
kingdoms?
first timers. you know, it was my sixth time. I wasn't afraid of anybody. But those guys were reticent to do it. But I think there was 14 kingdoms at the time, and even Dragon Ball signed on, which is Europe. We all but two signed the Estrella Compact, and once the word got out that existed, just loaded.
I'm sorry, you blanked out for a
They
moment.
started playing hard.
Your Grace, you blanked out for a moment and I couldn't hear you. You said once word got out that
sorry.
it occurred and then you froze.
Okay. Once the word got out that the Estrella Compact existed, um, the board that just imploded. They decided that it's time to play hardball with these people from Texas, and that's when the threats started coming our way. Well, we'll invalidate your reign. We'll kick you out of the organization and take away all of your awards and rewards, and you won't be anybody anymore. That was one of the threats. They even threatened to sue us, and I laughed in their face because you gonna sue a make believe king over a make believe kingdom? Good luck with that. But we had to be very careful with our rhetoric, especially what we put in writing. And Frederick was such an amazing source of information for that. He kept me from stepping on my tongue too many times for me not to be uh, eternally grateful. But and then they started threatening to take our officers away. They, Sedalia, who was Duchess Sedalia, who was the society seneschal, threatened to take Frederick.
How so? How could she do that?
Fire him because he was not supporting the board of directors.
The
As a kingdom seneschal,
banish
you
him.
were an officer of the society.
Okay.
So that's Frederick put
Yeah,
his
I
life.
was. Yeah, and as Kingdom Chronicler, I was threatened with banishment too. I remember.
Yeah, all our officers, all of their superiors came down on us like
Yep.
like a carpet bombing. But the thing about it was is our people started to respond in writing at that point. We had entire shires and baronies crafting messages, letters to the bod with all their signatures on it, saying, "Yeah, you try and remove our king. Who you going to get? You want to hold another crown tournament? Who's going to fight? There won't be any." And they even went so far as to threaten to kick Onstiora out of the SCA. And that's why the Estrella Compact was important. Because if they could kick us out, but if the rest of the kingdoms will still play with us, then they do not win. And that document, which in the beginning I didn't really realize how much power it had, was the sword that I could use to go on the offensive with the board. And when I say we went on the offensive, we did. To the point where about half of the board resigned. And we got a whole new bunch of board members, including a real good friend of mine by the name of Duke John Bearkiller. And that made life a lot easier too. And we went.
Yeah, I thought all of the current ones had resigned by the time it was all over.
Yeah, I think so too. But the main one was A.J. Riviezzo. He was from the Outlands. He had an MBA, and he was one that was orchestrating all this Mickey Mouse mess with the mundane CEO and so on and so forth. But truthfully, it was the barrage of letters and declarations from the people of Onstiora that basically left them with nothing to do. And by putting their name to the Estrella Compact, the other kingdoms are basically saying, don't you touch any of our people. You know, you're just 13 people up here sitting around a table. We're your whole organization. You're not the SCA. We, the people of every kingdom in the known world, we are the run it for us. And finally that got driven home. Then we had a little bit of an issue, which I'm sure we could have hardlined, but we decided to try and not capitulate, but try to work with them on, and that is the fact that they had made obligations to spend money that they didn't have, and their increased membership fee wasn't, since we weren't going to be paying it, was not going to. They were going to default. Is what I'm saying on those contracts. So we went to the board meeting in Milwaukee. All the crowns showed up there, and we all went into the closed session with the board, and they laid it out for us. And this was John. The rest of them were gone. I mean, these are the realities of where we're at, folks. You can stonewall us and hardline us now, and we'll probably lose the organization. Or you can try to figure out a way to help us without us changing Kapor. And we told them straight out, okay, here, how much money do you really need? And we figured out, after some fairly lengthy calculating, that about $3 extra for a non-member at an event that went to the board would probably get them by. $3 a head? Wow, we're going to fight over $3 a head? No. We said, okay, you go out there in public session, not in private session, in public session, and you send it the pay to play. Get rid of it. Take it back. And I will personally stand up and propose a $3 surcharge on non-members to alleviate the financial burden of the SCA. And they did, we did. At the same time, the mundane CEO left us with his parting words, and I remember them well. Man, I'm out of here. You people are fucking crazy.
I'm writing as fast as I can.
Off he went, and that was pretty much that. Um, we actually, to try and make a little peace, with everything, we actually held the next board meeting here in Fort Worth, and we kind of carried this on a little further, about more rights for the people of the society, and that the board needs every time to follow their own rules, their own governing documents, before they can make any changes like this, which is something they did not do the first time, because somebody had told them, "Hey, you're the board of directors. You can do anything you want."
Ooh,
well, sure, you can do anything you want,
bad
but
advice.
guess what? We don't have to do it.
Yeah.
It's the difference between a corporation of employees and a corporation full of loving volunteers. You don't want to piss off the volunteers. And that was driven home, to the real hard. You can turn the wheel and you can steer the ship, but we're going to tell you what our what the next port of call is. We're going to tell you where to take the ship. You just steer it. You do what our mundane government should be doing, and that is taking care of the people. Um, we After that, it wasn't over. We There was some society officers that decided they were going to take some revenge here and there. They had tried to orchestrate two or three crises for our kingdom to have to deal with. Um, Michael and Rebecca had stepped up just after when all this started. They came in with some kind of witchcraft, Satanism scare, and anyway, in other words, what they tried to do is create a scenario where somebody who really didn't know any better would discriminate against a pagan belief and get us sued for doing it. And the way it came down, the people that were affected were going to sue us. And I stepped into that and said, look, hey, wait, stop, stop. This is where it's coming from. This is what's going to happen if you do it. Okay, this is nothing but a trap. Don't oh yeah, okay. We won't we won't we won't fall for it. So he backed off. We backed off. Anyway, I became Kingdom Seneschal at that point. I had absolutely no desire to be Kingdom Seneschal. So at that point, I kept it for about 4 months, um, and was able to at that point keep the revenge seekers at bay because they were gonna mess with me. And after they had gone their way, they were out of the office. We had a new slate of society officers. Once they were all gone, and my mother, who was 94 years old, had come to live with us at the time and was needing more and more care. I didn't have time to do it anyway, so I went ahead and stepped down. But that pretty much finished uh, the great debacle of 1994.
So I've
But
actually,
I will tell you this, and this is no crap. The SCA was never the same for me again. I played on a couple of more years, but it wasn't. My heart wasn't in it, and so that's why I retired. Okay, any questions?
I think I've actually read in the newsletter in the Black Stars I've been scanning, um, Michael's letter about um, that there had been something involving witchcraft or paganism or something along those lines, and that people needed to behave themselves at events, and then it was almost immediately followed by something involving youth. Was that, you said that there were two things that were kind of thrown at us? Was that the other one?
Yeah, that was part of that.
Okay.
What actually happened there was a young man who had stayed out after curfew concocted some kind of story to get his ass out of the fire about how they were keeping him in this camp and making him part of a satanic ritual. And once that was disproved, it was gone. That was all there was to that.
Okay.
But they had some kind of police thing and other stuff talking about the SCA and Satanism. Well, nobody decided that it would be a good idea to do some research on this, but we did. And SCA also stood for Satanic Cult of America. So when somebody's talking about the SCA and kidnapping children for use in satanic rituals, they're not talking about the Society for Creative Anachronism. They're talking about the Satanic Cult of America. So you know, it was just a great big mess that could have been worse if we'd have stepped in the trap, but we didn't. Else, we did our research. We let our people know that this was what was happening and that there was no real danger. We didn't have any Satanists here who were going to kidnap their children and eat their hearts. So essentially, we kind of common sensed our way out of something that could have been really ugly. And again, it was the people of the kingdom. Unlike today, where you hear somebody say something that you don't approve of, you want them to go away and leave and lose their memberships. Well, then we wanted everybody to work together, and whether one of them believed it was a Christian, somebody was a pagan, somebody was an atheist, it didn't make any difference. Onstiorans first, and that's how we a lot of crap, and faced it head on. Come on, well, here we are. Come get us.
One of the things at the beginning, it was also called pay to play. If you'd heard that phrase before, and if we hadn't have dug in our heels with the populace's not only permission, approval, but yeah, go for it. Yes, we're behind you. The society would definitely not be the same. I think once they had agreed to pay to play or agreed to try to push that on us with a 40% cost increase at the same time, once they decided that it was going to go, it changed the society forever, good or bad. And all we could do is pretty much put the pieces back together as best we could. But it was definitely a catalyst one way or the other. But I think because Onstiora was, Onstiora, and it's stubborn, digging the heels, you can't make us do anything type personality, we were able to lead the way in saying, no, Bod, you don't know. Board of directors, you need to explain why you need to do this. What has changed in the last couple of months that suddenly made you decide to do this? Where the money's going to? Where did the money go that was already in there for all the memberships all the newsletters that had already been paid for? Because that was already to have been earmarked, and they were saying they were broke and they couldn't afford anything. And there was no visibility during those days. And I know during the whole Estrella Accords, during that, Duke Edmund's entire reign, their entire reign, was a nightmare. But everything that happened probably fell under the Accords. Also, one of the things that came out of it, besides a lot more visibility, was they created the Grand Council. I think it took like 6 months or a year later, but they created this council where they could bounce ideas off the kingdoms. And that came directly out of the Estrella Accords.
Thank you for reminding me.
They weren't written
that,
in there. But that was one of the good bonuses of what directly was related to the board trying to do a pay to play and trying to shove it down the kingdom's throats. It was a little tense there. I know.
A little.
Yeah, understatement of the century.
Just a little.
Millennium. Yeah, it was a little tense. I mean, there was a time at Estrella, I have a memory of you coming to me after a grand fort saying, I won't let them pull you as chronicler. And Frederick the Seneschal said the same thing. It's like, no, you're our chronicler. Because at that time, the Kingdom Chronicler, the corporate chronicler, was trying to go after the Black Star and me because, again, with the kingdom's permission and go for it, you're behind us. We're behind you. Even with them backing it, okay, I wouldn't have printed anything without bouncing it off, His Majesty at the time and Frederick said, okay, I'm gonna, I've got this to print. How do you want me to phrase it? Can I print it? And afterward, I was told so many times that the Black Star was was the population at large's only source of information.
That's right.
And because we were the ones printing it, we had a big concentric circle target on our chests, and especially myself because I was the chronicler at the time, and it was like, these people need to know the information. They need to know what is going on with the society. They don't need to be kept in the dark, and fed, BS. We're not growing mushrooms here. We want to save the SK. And we were out front and showing, like I said, in the Black Star, it was like, this is what's going on. This is the information that we were given. Every month that came out, we had a long conversation with the populace saying, this is what is going on. Keep writing the people. Also, let us know if we're doing something you don't agree with, flooded by letters. All of the officers were at that point, are the main ones. And it was like, let us know what's going on. We'll let you know what's going on, and you let us know if we've overstepped. And with permission, I printed a pull-out insert into the center of the Black Star that was a questionnaire, and asked people to send it back, filled out.
Yep.
There was,
I remember that.
Yeah. But the questionnaire came out, and it's like, here, do you agree with this? Do you agree with that? How would you prefer? A full questionnaire. And we had a huge number of questionnaires turned back in from people. If you know statistics at all, and I'm sure Robin would be more than happy to tell you the percentages, but surveys aren't really usually a good way of getting you don't usually get a high turnout of people filling out a questionnaire. And we actually had, of the, I think there were 1,500 sent out, there were about 1,100 turned back in, which was at that time an unheard of percentage for a questionnaire, flat out. I mean, you got to remember, this required snail mail where, people had to put a stamp on the envelope. And that always requires more effort than hitting send. Yeah, paper, And then of the questionnaire, we had a 91% approval from the entire kingdom of the 3/4 of people that filled out a survey and put a stamp on it. And we actually went into all of these meetings and against the pod saying, no, we do have our kingdom in front of it, behind us. This is the proof. This is a piece of paper that says, we even polled the populace, guys. We didn't just leave it up to, some, mythical being or some idea. This is, the kingdom wants us to draw the line in the, in the sand and not cross it.
Yeah,
Can
we
I pause
didn't.
you for a moment?
Otherwise, we wouldn't have. But
could I pause you for just a moment to clarify?
Sure.
Did you bring the physical surveys to the board meeting, or did you just reference them in communication with the board?
We just referenced them for
yeah.
a while. I wasn't turning over any paperwork whatsoever to the board.
Oh no, we weren't.
I had a 3-drawer filing cabinet, and every single drawer was full of letters from the populace, from the surveys, letters from the kingdoms around us, Every single piece of documentation I could get my hands on, I put in a file, and I copied Frederick of these things too, because we could have got sued. You know, if they'd have been stupid enough to have done that. Of course, they didn't have a leg to stand on. Again, you're going to sue a make-believe king over a make-believe kingdom.
Right.
What really started them backtracking hard was when the people of the SCA stopped renewing their memberships, and that
Yeah.
was where that really, you know, wrinkled their jeans, because they weren't ready for that. They counted on us loving to do this so much that we'd go along with anything so we could keep it. And again, you know,
Yeah.
what we were keeping was an individual culture of each kingdom that was built within that kingdom. I've mentioned this before, that persona didn't interest me a lot uh, when I played this game, but the culture of Onstiora interested me a lot more. You know, because we were creating personas that interacted in in our kingdom. That was who we were, and I was never worried. I was pretty sure the kingdom would back, you know, anything to keep itself, because we liked where we lived. We loved where we lived, because,
You were
and we spent
independent.
a,
We are independent.
yeah, a great portion of our lives within that culture. Wasn't always perfect, but it was ours, and that's who we were. And who we were was basically leading the charge uh, against this Mickey Mouse thing that they were trying to do. You know, everybody thought what I did was heroic. Not really. You know, I mean, if I'd have been what they thought kings were at the time, just a dumb stick jock, you know, maybe, and that's what they said. So I'm not going to let some dumb stick jock who won a tournament tell us how to do things. Well, it's not exactly who I am, so blow me. And but I went to Estrella right after that. I mean, not Estrella, Pinzik,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't tell you how many people, you know, from these other kingdoms would seek out the Onstiorans in their campsite, you know, the merchant booths, on the road, anywhere. It didn't make any difference, saying thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, thank you for being the first to stand up and not back down. So
Yeah.
this little obscure kingdom from, oh, not little landmass wise, but population wise, this little kingdom from southern nowhere, because they didn't know us really,
Mm-hmm.
now knew who the hell we were and what we were capable of and what we stood for. And see, that's the pride in the kingdom that I want people to take away from this particular nightmare. Is, yeah, it was bad for a lot of us, you know, officers, the crown, uh, but take away with pride something that we accomplished because we didn't want what they were giving us, and it hasn't happened since. So, you know, to be very honest with you, I think we should all be paid members of the SCA. Well, not me because I don't play anymore, but at the time, I always paid my membership. I like to support the organization that I'm having fun in, but that's choice. You know, we had a tremendous number of student types in this kingdom where somebody deals out $35 for a membership. They don't eat that week. You know, this was
Month.
1994. This isn't today. You know, uh, we just had to make it clear And I think the beauty of it was we spoke for pretty much everybody else in the known world at the time. That you don't have control over our culture. We do. We will be what we will be. Go away and leave us alone. If you want to take care of the business of buying insurance for us so we can have events, that's cool. You know, we all read the Kapora and we realize what the rules are. We read the martial standards and know what the armor standards are. We know all this. We accepted it a long time ago. So what else do you really raise the fee and tell us we all have to be members? We'll take care of our kingdoms and our culture. And that was a real wake up call for those folks. And I was so proud of Onstiora, I couldn't tell you. It's like the little kingdom from nowhere. Led a fight that because
Change the
when
society.
you start getting regulation, which is what that is, then you start getting taxation, you start getting uh, rules one after the other because they're doing everything to benefit the corporation and not benefit the people of the corporation. So anyway, that was the fight we made. It was dirty and it was ugly and it and it ruined the SCA for me and Athena. But in truth, I'd have done it again in a heartbeat.
So
I think if we didn't have you to lead, we wouldn't have gone there.
Well, thank you. I guess.
I understand that one.
Yeah. Well, like I say, all the people of this kingdom were, so steadfast. It was just.
I'm gonna just speak up here for a minute. In 1994, I was in the society like 6 years. I'd gotten to where I knew what was around and read some of the stuff, but mostly I just played the game and just enjoyed it. And I remember, I don't know if you and your officers at the time realized the amount of confidence we had in you. I remember hearing all of this, reading it in the Black Star that Clarice put out so nicely for us, because of course that was the only communication we had, but we just knew that we were going to be okay because of who we had as our leadership at the time. And that's where a lot of that backing came from, is because we totally believed that it was going to be okay because of who was leading the fight in it. Not just yourself, Your Grace, but all of the officers that were behind you. And I just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
So I had a couple questions for you. One, I bet you already knew I was going to ask, and I think I know your answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. And that is, do you still have that 3-drawer filing cabinet full of paper? And if so, can I get my hands on it? Oh, we lost His Grace.
Yeah, I'm back.
Did you hear the question?
No, my Wi-Fi said. So please ask again.
So I set it up with, I'm pretty sure you knew I was going to ask this question, and I'm pretty sure the answer is no, but I have to ask it anyway because it's me. Do you still have the 3-drawer filing cabinet, and can I look at it?
I do not.
Dang it. Okay. Question
No,
number two.
actually, what happened is I had that in storage, and I got the storage building I had room I had a leak, and
Oh
I got,
no.
that stuff got ruined to the point of just being nothing but, you could have made new paper out of it. It's really great. I don't know. Somebody may have kept those things, but after a while, I know we moved. Since then, we moved 4 times, and I'm pretty sure it's gone. All I have are my memories.
Well, you
I'm
did
sure
send
somebody
me,
has some of that though.
you sent me a
No,
photograph
I don't.
of the
But
actual Estrella Accord document at
Hmm.
one point.
I do have that.
Do you by any chance have access to a scanner?
Yeah, I have one of those.
Would you be willing to scan it and send it to me? Because the
Sure.
photograph is a little bit wobbly. Because I would really, really love to document that.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't remember how that happened. I think my scanner was on the fritz at the time when I put it, but I will scan it and send you a copy of it.
Thank you. My second
Actually,
question.
I will be happy to at some point just give you the copy of it and put it in the kingdom, whatever, reliquary or whatever.
Um, most of those
I'll pick up
records
after
are
exactly.
actually at the residence of Mistress Anise. She's got 26 cartons of
Oh my
historical
God.
documents that she's in the process of going through and cataloging and scanning, and she
I'm
has
so
the
sorry.
physical tangible records. I'm building electronic records through the wiki and through scanning all of the black stars and things like that.
Right.
So we're kind of doing a two-pronged approach. Uh, she has the rougher end of that. The other question I had was if that's when the non-member surcharge started, which was 26 years ago,
Uh-huh.
why are people still paying a non-member surcharge for something that would have been paid off a long time ago?
Well, I can't answer that. Uh, I think it's I
I
think
can.
it's well, I'm gonna be a little controversial here. I think it's okay for a non-member to pay more at the gate because again, they're not supporting the society. If it, I think the non-member surcharge is a good deal higher now than it used to be. Like maybe $10.
No, it's $3.
Is it still $3?
It's $3.
Well, see there, what we concocted. That's a terrible high price to pay for a non-member. No, it isn't.
No.
It's something that says we like this game too, but we
Okay,
can't afford to be a member right now. But we got $3, and we would love to come and play at this event. You know, give and take, guys. I mean, it was a very, very small, a minuscule price to pay for what could have been.
I remember at the time, Your Grace, that
Yeah.
some of the arguments for it was the fact that some people didn't want to pay the $25, $30, $35, whatever it was at the time, because they only went to Stargate Yule. That's all they ever went to. And they didn't hold any offices or anything like that. And so why should they pay all that money to go to one event? And so putting a $3 surcharge on the event was much more appealing. And in my opinion, Zubeda, Your Excellency, I think it's one of these things of, it's kind of like tradition. You started doing it, and so you just keep on doing it. Is
Well,
my
That's not
again,
that's not
I think
entirely true. I do know what happened. I'm sorry. Go on. I know
go
what
on.
happened and why it was still there because I was a Baroness at the time.
Okay.
But I don't know whether you want that as part of this because it's kind of unrelated, pretty much
Well,
unrelated to the Estrella Accords.
I think we have, again, like I say, I think we should all support the society. I mean, if they do spend rather large dollars to acquire certificates of insurance and so forth that we need to rent sites to do events on, then a $3 surcharge for a non-member is really nothing. And I don't care if they keep it for the rest of their lives. It doesn't matter. They weren't trying to pay off. They were trying to pay off those contractual agreements. But I think in the long run, it really says, yeah, I'm not a member, but I will pay $3 to support what I'm going to do today.
Okay.
And I think that's fine. It was all the other crowns that were there at Milwaukee. We all felt the same way. It's something that will get us all back on track, put this behind us, and keep it there. So I don't know. Last couple of events I went to, just because I wanted to go to an event for the heck of it, I paid $3 surcharge. No problem. I want to be there, so I'm going to do this. And I had a blast.
I have pictures.
Yeah, I know. But that's a yeah, that's a small thing. But what I was telling you last time, when we talked about this, Aveda, that there's just so much more to the Estrella Accord, which was just in the long run a big part of it, but not the big part of it. It was one of the things that helped me, like I say, go on the offensive rather than being on the defensive about this. And once we were on the offensive, we never let up. And so we got a change in board members, we got a change in people and attitude and so forth. And in Milwaukee, we ended it. So that's really what I wanted to get across, is how much people risked to do this. If we'd have lost, I wouldn't be around. I mean, I wouldn't be Duke Inman, anything. I'd be erased from the rolls of the society. So would Athena. So would Clarice and Frederick. And anybody else that stood up with us. We're canceled.
Yeah.
So
Yep. Do not come back. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Yeah, I mean, it was it was win or die, but it was worth a fight, because if they wanted to create an SCA where they told us what kind of culture we could have, I didn't want to play. It's not an SCA I want to play in. So we lose, I'm gone. Bye. No Duke Inman.
can you tell me what Onsteora Incorporated is?
Onsteora Incorporated was a corporation we put together in case we
Worst case scenario.
Yeah, it was a fallback. That was another thing they hated too, boy. Whoo. Yeah, Onsteora Incorporated we were just going to take over being the SCA, or not SCA, be Onsteora in Onsteora. And we were going to continue to do events. We had the corporation so we could buy insurance for ourselves. And we could continue our day-to-day living just like always.
Who were the signatories of the corporation?
I do not remember. I know Frederick was one of them, I believe. I think I was too. But that
Wasn't Galen's now wife or somebody? They don't play. I mean, they moved to California, but it was Galen Light's wife.
Galen Nicole.
She was also an attorney, I think. Yeah.
About Mr. Siobhan.
Yeah, Siobhan, that was her name.
Yeah, I think she was one.
I think she was on there.
Yeah, she had something to do with the law too. She was one of the
prime
movers
ones, yeah.
in Onsteora Incorporated. something we
Mm.
if we had to use, we could use. We just keep on keeping on, but we never had to use it, so it was all right.
I had somebody who had submitted that they were involved with Onsteor Incorporated, but I'm not finding it on the wiki for some reason. So I'm not sure if they were someone who asked me to remove their page or not.
I don't know. It's been a long time ago, you know.
Understood.
I don't know that anybody would put that on something like that, because that was literally just to stop if the worst case came, we could at least stay on Steora. And then the Accords were the second half of that, where if the worst came to worse, the other kingdoms would accept our awards. And that's all on Steora Inc. was a rubber stamp in case the worst happened. We had a fallback, sort of. And we spent a lot of hours making sure we had, our ducks in a row in case the
Yes.
board of directors said, nope, you're out of here. We're going to call, we think you're bluffing. And we had to make sure that that was a fallback
Yep.
Inman has
in
mentioned
case
that
they called our bluff. And wasn't a bluff, but it was in case they said, we dare you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had no reason to, we had
Sorry, go on.
no reason to keep it secret either. And they didn't have a copyright on the name Osteora either. So there was a lot of speculation about
Nope.
that, but we could have had it for the asking. It was no problem. It just what it did is kind of gave us a cushion, so we didn't land on the concrete on our ass if they decided that we lost this fight. Um, so yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I had that had been one of those things that just slipped my mind completely.
you also mentioned in one of our previous conversations.
We've had a few years under our belt.
Oh yeah.
One or two. You'd mentioned in a previous conversation that his support throughout this whole process was one of the primary reasons that you named Frederick as your lion.
Absolutely. Frederick stood up, and Frederick had been in the SCA longer than I had. And I felt for him. I said, look, you're my seneschal, man. I can understand if you want to bail on this deal and just, do what you have to do. Do what the board wants you to do. If that's what you got to do it. I would not blame you. And he said, shh, man, he said, you're my king and I'm your seneschal. So let's go. And Frederick was a lot of things anyway. He was a good man. He was a good knight. And he stood by my side, our side, my Athena side through this whole thing, giving us sage advice and basically risking everything he'd worked for in the society too. So that to me, that's a defender of the dream, kids. And yeah, that's why I made him a lion.
You've mentioned that you called him the public defender of the dream, which I thought was kind of awesome.
Yep. He was the public defender of the dream.
Did anybody else have any questions or comments or information about this topic that they wanted to bring forward? I knew that we probably wouldn't be filling the whole 2 hours, so we may go ahead and end.
God, I hope not. Not that I don't love to talk to you guys, but this, it's just be proud of your kingdom and what we did and what we still stand for. I hope that we did something that basically, in the opinion of many, not just us in this kingdom, in the whole known world, uh, an opinion of a great many people, officers, crowns, peers, populace, that we saved the society, a society worth being part of. And we were the ones out front with the banner in our hand. So yeah, if you're on Stiora, and be proud of the fact that you were part of that, and were supportive of that, and you know, I'm sorry, I don't care what else happened in the known world at any given time, but that was beautiful. Any other
Clarice,
questions?
Clarice, do you by any chance have a copy of the survey that was sent out?
It might have been if it wasn't in your Black Star, in the copy of your Black Star that you have. I'd have to look and see whether I kept a copy of those few months, because I seem to remember keeping a copy of the months that I was Kingdom Chronicler. But and I'm pretty sure I know where they are, but I can't. For one, I have them buried by a cat, but held down by a cat, which is very important. And the others might take me a little while to sort through the box that I think they're in. If they are, I will drop them in the mail, a copy in the mail to you. But I don't know whether I have a copy of it or not, of the survey.
The Black Star that was submitted to me had
I know I no longer have a copy of the result
the actual survey form
page pulled out.
It got pulled out of the copy that was submitted to the historian's archive, presumably because it got sent in.
Okay, I'll look.
That might be something worth hunting down.
Like I said, we had a huge turnout. Yeah, I'll look. Take a note, because, well, I tend to forget things nowadays.
I would appreciate that. Thank you so very, very much.
Any other questions?
Mistress Anise, did you have anything else?
Like I say, my memories of the time was of one of the little people. I hadn't yet gone into the exalted circles, as it were. So my memories of the time are of almost unbelievable confidence that everything was going to come out okay, that our society was going to stay together because of the crew that was at the top fighting their hearts out for it. And that's all I can really contribute to that, is the memories of the time of someone who was a grassroots person in our kingdom at the time.
Yeah, well, you guys were the foundation that held me up. So thank you.
Held us up, all of us up.
I had asked Master Corwin if he could make it, but unfortunately he wasn't able to attend. I know his perspective would have been really wonderful. He was here last week and kept sending me apologies that he was talking so much, and I'm like, no, you don't understand. I want all the stories, all of them. So
well, I want to mention their Majesties Gregor and Kristens of the East Kingdom, who were king and queen at that time. Majesties Cain and Mirigan from Atlantia. King Han, I do not remember who his queen was at the time, nor do I remember the king and queen of Palantir at the time. But Stefan and his lady were king and queen of the West at the time. I want to mention all of those people who, and others I have obviously forgotten. Well, you've got a copy, you can read them. Who signed the Estrella Accord and who were steadfast in going along with us on this. So those are people that are worthy of mention, and their people too.
Thank you.
All of their people who stood behind them too. Who we, like I say, it was something that could have ended us, but we ended it. And that was such a good thing, and I can look back on it now with a certain amount of pride in my part, but a whole lot of pride in what the kingdom did, and that's a good memory I'll take away from my time as a stick job.
Train.
We are special people here. I hope we continue to be that.
Wonderful. Thank you so very, very much for sharing all of that with me. I took lots of notes, and I'm going to
Copious
be.
notes.
I took pages and pages of copious purple notes, and I will write it up. And if it's okay with you, Your Grace, I will send it to you for your review to make sure that I caught the right names and the pertinent details. If you would be willing to take a look at it, then I'd like to publish it to the Historian's Chronicle, put it on the wiki,
Sure.
along with a link to this video so that folks can listen to it at later dates, and include a copy of that beautiful document created by, you said Mistress Estelle?
Estrella, yeah.
Okay. Did you say Stella or Estelle?
It's Estrella,
Okay.
I think.
But
We
she
call
went
it-
by Stella
Stella
Yeah,
Silvana?
she went by
without
Stella,
the
but
E,
I think it was Estella is what her
I think.
Is it
now.
Stella
She's a
Silvana?
Laurel now, I think, anyway, or was. If she's still around.
I don't remember her last name
I don't either.
now.
But she was local.
Stella Silvana? Was it? Stella
Stella
Silvana?
Silvana, yeah, that's her.
Okay.
Yeah, LC.
Elsie,
Okay.
right.
She does still
Stella Silvana,
participate
yeah.
from time to time.
Good. Yeah, she was the one that collected up the Estella compact.
Okay.
Estrella compact. Estella compact. Listen to me. But yeah.
Stella Estrella.
and the thing about it is she did it in like a couple of days because we didn't decide to make the Estrella War until the last minute, and she did it in like a couple of days.
Oh yeah.
And brought it to me.
Yeah.
And it's actually kind of a pretty little document, you know. But yeah, I'll get you a good scanned copy of it anyway.
Wonderful. Thank you very, very much. This is the sort of thing I'm super passionate about, and I really love getting to hear so much about the kingdom's history that I just don't know. Sometimes I'll post questions on the kingdom list, and people are like, "Why don't you ask the historian?" And I'm like, "Funny that I am the historian, and there's just so much I don't know." And that's why I love conversations like this, because I get to learn so much about the history of the kingdom that
Well, it's
only locked in the memories of those that were there. And getting to have these conversations gets to share that with a wider audience, and then I can document it and put it on the wiki, and 20 years from now somebody can pull up that page and read your story
well,
and your
in a career that wasn't as long as some. I have two things that make me the most proud. I mean, other than the fact that people I knighted and elevated and so forth, my friends I made. One was the board fight in '94, and the other was starting Gulf War. Those are the two things that I did that I create big history. Gulf War is now coming up 30 years from a little war that they told me would never work, and yet we made it work, and it did, and now it's 30 years old, or coming up to be 30 years old. It's actually March, this April, I believe it will be 30 years old, because the first ones were in April, and they moved it back to March.
I've never had an opportunity to go to Gulf Wars, because I just don't travel very well. But if I do, I pledge to you that I will raise a libation in your name and thank you for the opportunity.
Well, I've got some people right now who are plotting and conniving and genuinely talking about kidnapping me and making me go to the 30th year war. So we'll see how that plays out.
Ooh.
It might accidentally happen.
The peanut gallery says that's a good idea.
All my
Oh.
friends in Atlantia have threatened to have me kidnapped because they have a tent for me and everything.
I have a digital recorder and I'm not afraid to travel and use it.
Yeah, guys, you do such a great job, Zubaida. I don't know how you manage it.
This is kind of my nerdy passion. I mean, I'm literally surrounded on all sides with black stars,
So I see.
which I'm in the process of scanning. Um,
Wow.
Mistress Anise, I'm going to make you jealous. This was my Christmas present from my husband.
Oh, you turkey butt. But I do want to say that Zubaida has always warmed my heart because I'm not really sure which one of us is the biggest history nerd. History of Onsteora nerd. But I despaired for a long, long time finding someone who had the same degree of passion that I had. And I have to say, I'm just thrilled to death that Zubaida came along and decided to do this.
Well,
Because
Well, I'm
she's
gonna
got
I'm
the
gonna
passion.
talk her into using her craft at some point to make me some kind of really cool manly necklace thing that I can wear when I play music.
Your Grace, it would be my pleasure and privilege. What materials do you want it out of and what color do you want?
Oh, you know how I am. I love black and gold.
Okay, then black and gold it will be. How long of a necklace do you want?
Oh, I don't know. Just something that's not too loose, but it'll get over my head.
Okay, I can do that. I can make lampwork beads.
I'm doing thumbs up here. Yes. You know, I'm sorry. You came into the kingdom after I was gone.
Mhm.
I wish I had you and I had a chance to play the game together. I think it would have been fun.
It is not too late for you to return, Your Grace.
Yeah. On a regular basis, it is. I might go to another event here and there, but that's pretty much it for me.
So, where are you physically located in the kingdom at this point?
Arlington, Texas.
I have no idea where that is.
Right, dead center between Dallas and Fort Worth.
Dallas and Fort Worth. Yep.
We in the steps claim him.
Yeah,
I'm
Steps claims me and
Googling
LC
right now.
claims me.
Your Grace, your fifth centurion sitting here behind me says that he'd really like to see you at Gulf Wars.
Okay. One of my boys. Good deal.
Sorry.
I'll see what I can do about that. That's another thing I'm exceedingly proud of too, are the Centurions.
Okay. You are a 4.5 hour drive. 6 with the way I drive. If you ever are going to go to a local event, would you please let me know? And I will make the drive so that I can sit down and chat with you.
Sure.
I would really love that opportunity.
Absolutely.
That
I'd
would-
love to.
That would be my privilege.
And mine. Look, it's I wish I could say I'm getting younger and better health. I don't drive well either. I have I'm in the early stages of cataracts, so I don't drive, and I sure don't drive at night well. You know, during the day I can do it, and I get around town not any problem at all. But sooner or later I'll have to have that dealt with. But yeah, I'd love to. I love to get up north. I used to spend a lot of time up north. My first real friends.
You know,
from
I've noticed that.
from my first reign.
We
Hell,
noticed
I
that.
met Clarice when I was on the throne. I think for the first time, way back.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
went to.
I still remember you coming up to Wolfstar encampment and getting to know us all.
Well, I think I was the first one that ever taught them how to fight,
You were.
if I'm not mistaken.
You're the only one that ever gave them the time of day. Yep.
Was he the first crown to attend a Wolf Star? Oh Lord, I'm blanking on the name of the event that they hold. Wolf Cry? No.
Well, at the time, it was the second annual. The first second annual, the second annual. I don't know because we actually hosted a crown tourney. The one that Dinar and won is one we hosted. So that would have made no. That may have been the first time a crown went to a Wolfstar event per se. I'd have to look and try to remember. I've slept since then.
Well,
Of
of course,
who would have been the first?
I squired a couple of Wolf Star boys. You remember? Hildebrand.
Yep. Yeah, you did.
Cameron.
Mhm. Cameron.
Cameron. Yeah.
Did you do yours?
I
Or do you-
knighted Yord, but he wasn't my squire. I knighted Yord. That's
Okay.
the
Gotcha,
event
gotcha.
where Athena got skunked.
Oh dear. Was it a company of wolves?
Gotcha.
No, it was a real skunk, and she got sprayed.
Oh
She,
no.
yeah, she said that was the night she knew that I really
Yeah,
loved her
skunk.
because I
Literally.
slept in the same tent with her after she'd gotten sprayed by the skunk.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible. Bless her heart.
But yeah, I knighted Yord. I made court barons and court baronesses out of Wolfstar people. They were just good people and good friends, and I just loved hanging with them. I was very close with Sir Finn and Sir Sif,
Mm-hmm.
and they're, I don't know, what can I tell you? Jonathan McNaughton, I believe, was.
He's from the north, but he wasn't playing for a long time up here.
Yeah, well, he was from Oklahoma, and Mara too, his wife.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and
Actually, they moved up here. I ran into them at a local restaurant. It was the first time I knew they moved up here. It was funny. Like, I know you guys. What are you doing in town?
yeah,
we moved here.
I remember my first event in North Key in Tulsa. You know, the Crown hadn't been in Tulsa in a long time if they weren't from the north.
Oh, yeah.
And anybody know who Mercedes Lackey is?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mercedes Lackey wrote me a song and gave it to me as a present. I still had the words, called Blind Elvin Harper.
I would really love to see a copy of that.
I would love to find it, and maybe I can give you a copy of it.
I have it's funny you should mention her name. I was delving into the closet to find a dressmaker's dummy, and I had to move a bunch of boxes, and out of it fell a letter I had written to Mercedes Lackey 25 years ago to tell her I really loved her books, and she wrote back to me, and that letter fell out yesterday when I was pulling out the dressmaker dummy so that I can go take pictures for the wiki of the work of a North Cape Laurel that passed away here recently. So
Well, we all got to call her Misty. Misty Lackey. She was a talented lady.
I never got to meet her in the SCA.
She didn't play that often after she became such a prolific writer, and she was making albums with her songs and stuff. She didn't really have much time to give to it, but she was living in Tulsa, I believe, at the time.
Mm-hmm. I think she's still here, from what I understand.
Probably is. She probably is. But she was a really nice lady. Having having somebody that talented write you a song, and then she sang it for me before she gave me the words. It was really cool.
Which reign was that?
Uh, second, a second. I was at I was at the I was Crown Prince, and I was at the first Callantyr Crown tournament, and I've had a lot of fun in the North. I was one of the ones that started the Interkingdom peace between Callantyr and Onsteora. Those were fun.
We
Those
still
are fun.
we still host the Winter Kingdom event. I'm probably one of the only ones who still spells it the old way with a little W and a big Inter Kingdom.
Yeah,
But we have a lot of
how
Callantyr
it used to be done.
that come down for that event and help us and teach. And we hosted it again this year virtually. We had 7 classrooms with classes held all day long virtually, and had a
Well,
lot of really wonderful classes.
I'm glad to see that that's still happening.
Mhm.
Those are some good folks up there. I was real good friends with Hump and Memora, William Bohun of Batavia.
Okay.
He was king of Callantyr, and Memora Leona was his lady, and she could dance. Woo!
Oh yeah, she was my inspiration to start taking up Middle Eastern dance at the time.
That lady could dance. And then Valens and Susanna, they were another king and queen. Oh, they were old timers like me, but they were some fine people.
Did you know
And
Mistress Katrin from Northkeep?
yeah, I think I'd have to find a picture of some place I could place the name to the face. I remember faces much easier than I remember names.
Give me just 5 seconds. It's Katrin Furch Gwilym
Yes,
O'Gonwer.
hell yeah, I knew her, of course.
She passed away earlier this year
Yeah, I know.
after her beloved Anton had passed away.
Yeah.
And next week, I am going to be going to her home and photographing her embroidery work. She had done embroidery for many, many years, and a lot of that garb still exists. And I've been asked to help document it for the wiki. And if any of you have stories about Mistress Katrin,
You're
then
collecting them?
we are collecting them for her page. She asked to have a page made some years ago, so we're able to document her work, and
Sorry, I had to wrangle a cat.
entirely understandable. It makes my day when we get to see them. If you look in the chat for this,
I can turn the camera on.
You'll see a link to Mistress Katrin's page.
Okay, I caught it. But yeah, Baroness Bjorn and Baroness Gwyneth of
Namron.
Namron. They were two good friends too. Delphi and Mylea and people I still keep in contact with were we did some crazy stuff up there, and it was a lot of fun.
Baroness Malia.
Yeah, we did. We had fun in those ages.
Yeah, and nothing.
Yes.
I mean, absolutely nothing about what we did was politically correct, but we had a blast. There was no PC going on then.
Well, I don't have any button that says that I'm an official nipple inspector of Bjornsburg, but I do have a ribbon that says that Master Ivar thinks that I am
slightly
demented, but in the best way possible. So
that's it.
Hey, that works.
I just love that quote.
But I can truthfully tell you, I had more fun up north than I ever did down south. You know, down south was they were very full of themselves. You know, they were all prim and proper and perfect, and you know it was okay too. But if you wanted to party, you went north. And I want to mention something that no longer exists: the western region of this county.
Mhm.
Oh, Black Lake and Bonwick and Aldersrue and all of those guys. I was the one that actually signed the documentation so Bonwick could become a squire, squire, shit, shire. And also, it just happened to work out where I ended up being on the throne when uh, uh, Bonwick became a barony.
Mhm.
So, you know, it worked out real interestingly there. I made him a shire and made him a barony. That was a lot of years in between, but that was really cool too.
They're
And then
currently
now the Western
really
region
awesome.
doesn't even exist anymore.
But the groups still do. Bonwick is still active, and they have a fantastic baroness and baroness.
That's good. That's good. You know, I know Black Lake is now part of Bonwick supposedly, but some of the other groups are kind of gone by the wayside.
Yeah.
But
One of
they ran out of people.
yeah. One of my current projects that I've just started in my absurd nerdiness is I am going through the old Black Stars, going through the group lists that are in the back. Of course, the particular one that I picked up doesn't actually have one, but I'm taking the place names
Uh huh.
and I'm making a list by city. So, what are all the different groups that have been in this city over the years?
Guys, excuse me for a minute. I have to go break up a cat fight.
Uh oh. So yeah, I'm starting with some of the old issues and just kind of making a list. Like,
I wouldn't know anything about cat fights. I only have 20 to 26 feral cats outside of my house right this minute. Yep.
yeah,
That's more than I have. I have one in volume, but you know, I have one ginormous
But
one.
yeah, you got to see Inky Dink just here a few minutes ago getting love.
pretty
Uh,
baby.
he's 17 pounds, so he's not quite your size of your baby, but he's a pretty big kitty.
Did you get to see the size proportion when I was manhandling him a minute ago? His head's like that big compared to mine. It's really kind of
The
scary
cat
when you
wrangler
consider the
is
fact
back.
that, you know,
The cat wrangler is back.
he's
Oh,
pissed at me right now because yes.
we got a little female kitten who has no manners whatsoever, and she's we have also two big males, and she
Uh oh.
gets in their face, and then it gets I have to save her.
Oh dear.
She'll grow, she'll learn.
Yeah. So as part of the Black Star project that I'm doing, um, I'm not just scanning them so that there's a copy preserved forever, but after I get them scanned, we're going to be creating an index of them. And
Okay.
so
Ooh,
for every issue, it will list who was the crown and who were the officers and did they send in their report and what event reviews are in there and what type of documents are in there and was there you know cartoons in this issue and were there notes and challenges and is there a Wart Haven or and then we're also taking the the information on each group, and we're adding that to a list so that I can tell you that in 1981 in Amarillo, there was the incipient Shire of Null Arbor, and in 1982, there was the incipient Shire of Dragon's Cove. And you can just see all of the different groups that have been in any particular city over time. And
That
then
sounds awesome.
we're also taking all of the calendar pages and we are updating the kingdom calendar that we have on the wiki. And in some issues, people have written event reviews, like stories about the event that we went to. And we've been getting permission from people to then connect that to the calendar so that if you pull up a certain year, you can see, oh, well, so-and-so wrote about this event in the Black Star in this month, and here it is, and you can read it. And anyway, that's the goal. That's the project. I don't know how I'm going to get it done by the time my term ends in September, but that's what I'm trying to do. So
Sorry, we might get a petition together and not let you step down.
well, here's the problem. The Principality of Vindheim is probably going to be official in December, and they have already submitted my name as their Principality chronicler. So I don't know if they'll, if
Is that the Oklahoma Principality?
it is Oklahoma and also parts of Texas. And some parts of Calentier say they want to join too, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
I wouldn't count on it.
I wouldn't count on it either.
Well, you never know though. It might,
yeah.
but
It's
they don't use
essentially the northern region, which has some of the folks from the west region that got folded in. But I don't know if they will let me be historian of both.
well,
If anybody could pull it off, you could.
Well,
yeah,
thank you.
probably.
I appreciate that vote of confidence. I'm going to try and keep both. I don't know if they'll let me, but I'm going to try. My job is not one that people are lined up to take. So
Now, the thing is that it really, most people will probably let you do whatever you need to do, because when I was historian, I was also my group's chronicler, my group's historian, and also Stargate's historian, all at the same time. And since nobody was coming forward going, I've got to have your job, people were like, sure, if you can handle it, do it.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm
Well-
already my own deputy once because the wiki administrator reports to the historian. So I report to myself. And then if I'm principality historian, then I'll be my own deputy twice. So that'll get interesting.
Well, just because you're part of a principality, you're on Stiara.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So,
And that's going to be my argument is, I can do the job of both. I've been doing the job of both kind of sort of unofficially.
Right.
Because I put together all of the historical documentation that was required for the principality petition. And Mistress Anise, one of these days, well, no time like the present, I'm going to show that puppy off. Hang on just one second. Let me get you a link.
While you're looking, I will say this much: as far as doing kingdom and principality like that,
Mhm.
in a way, if you do the principality, you're already doing a portion of the kingdom.
Mhm.
All it is like an overlap of, in addition to your principality, you're doing the other principalities, the other non-principality area, I should say.
Yeah.
So all you're doing is adding a little, you're doing the same thing. You're not even really doing it twice.
Yeah. I will admit that one of the things about my office that I have not done well, and I don't know how to do a better job, and that's to get the buy-in and the participation of the middle and southern part of the kingdom. because I'm up here in the north and I show up at every event with wiki posters and handouts, and I'm banging my drum and jumping up and down and go, look, this is an important thing. And I'm in their face. And so they participate mostly to get me to shut up or to get, marshmallows and brownies that I've brought for anybody who
Or
fills out
cookies.
paperwork. I absolutely do bribes. I absolutely do. I'm currently
I never
sending
got
out.
a bribe. I got nagged with my permission, but I never got a bribe. Maybe that was where you called up. I still yeah, well, yeah. I know I still owe you a questionnaire.
Maybe you
Yes,
should have
ma'am.
tried that.
Yeah, I never got a bribe. Maybe that was the problem.
Well, I posted on my Facebook page recently that if anybody filled out the questionnaire, I would send them half a batch of brownies. And I have 4 batches of brownies sitting on my oven right now, cooling so that I can box them up and send them out, because I had 3 people take me up on it. I am not above bribery.
Oh,
But I can't get,
Yeah, that might be what takes it, because brownies, but
and they're Kahlua
yeah,
brownies
whatever
too.
works.
They're Kahlua brownies. They're really, really good.
well, they'll get somebody's attention, sure.
Oh, wait a minute! You didn't say that, and I certainly was not. You never offered a bribe, period, and now you're mentioning bribes with Kahlua brownies.
Yes,
There's
yes,
a huge
ma'am.
difference between, hey, Clarice, this is your nag. Hey, Clarice, here's brownies with Kahlua.
There are brownies
That's a
available.
big difference.
But yeah, so like most of the wiki is
Motivation,
people in the north, and I really feel like I'm kind of a failure because I don't have that level of participation from the middle of the kingdom and the southern part of the kingdom. There are more pages for North Keep than there are for 3 baronies combined in the south. And
You don't get a response from the historians of the different baronies and shires in the south?
They do not report to me. See, that's the interesting thing about the historian's office. I'm here to help provide them information if they want it, but they do not report to me. They are not my deputies. I have no deputies other than myself.
I realize that, but surely they'd want to participate, wouldn't they?
You would think so, but
Zubaida,
yes, ma'am.
we need to talk, honey.
Okay.
I've got some information for you on this subject, but I don't want to bore everybody else with it.
Fair enough. I am at your convenience. We can set up a phone call or a Zoom chat anytime you like.
Or Messenger, whatever.
Yeah, that works too. Though not this Wednesday because I have a wiki appointment. I've got someone who wasn't comfortable filling out the forms, so we're just going to do a one-on-one Zoom chat, and I'm going to take dictation. And
I
have my notepad.
I got taxes doing Monday, and Tuesday I've got we'll get together.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, and that might be a way you can do it with me, is a Zoom chat. Now that I figured out what to do.
Yeah, it would be my pleasure. I would be glad to do that. I'm available any day.
Oh, you can ask questions.
Any day this week except Wednesday and Saturday. So,
Okay.
Well, I guess we're actually approaching the 9 o'clock hour and have gone a bit far afield from our topic, but I very much.
Yeah, but this has been fun, kid.
It has.
It has. It's been fun.
And we do this every week, every Sunday at this time, and we have a different topic each week. Last week was Onsteoran expats, and we had all sorts of folks, including a Duke from Callantyre who reigned twice after he left Onsteora. And we have a whole contingent of people in Ontir that have come from Onsteora, and they still consider themselves Onsteoran.
Yeah.
Master Corwin came by last week and was part of that discussion. So we have a different topic every single week. There are some weeks where I take a week off because I have a date with my honey, or he has to work sometimes. But I always announce that on the Kingdom list that we're not going to be gathering. But other than that, you are welcome anytime. The same link for tonight works all of the time. Every week, it's the same message link. So come by anytime, and we'd love to hear your stories and chat and just sit around and be goofy. That's fun too.
I'm just getting a kick out of seeing faces I recognize from days I loved.
Yeah,
Indeed.
those were the days.
Well, on that positive and joyful note, I will go ahead and bid you all good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Night, Lupita.
Good night,
Looks like
honey.
yeah. Okay.